So today on the bench we've got this Type 324 oscilloscope, Sony Tektronix, made in Tokyo, Japan. We had one of these, I think it was a model 323 on the bench before, that was non-operational. This belongs to a friend who collects oscilloscopes. The person she bought it from said it doesn't work, so I'm going to assume it doesn't work. But before I step down to applying power to it, I'm going to go ahead and open it up and just do a visual inspection. If it doesn't work, I honestly, unless it's a simple fix, I won't be attempting to fix it. Tektronix scopes, well, Sony scope in this case, these just aren't in my bailiwick. But it's got this interesting AC power cord here. It's very non-standard. There's 3 male pins down in there, and the two 3 male or female pins here. There's this external DC power input there as well that we might have a play with. Overall, it seems to be in good shape. I believe the last one we looked at was missing one of the red knobs here. There's a ×1 ×10 probe here. Somebody spent, looks like $32 for this at some point. I don't know what brand it is. Oh, there's Rosie. So bandwidth DC to 6 megahertz, rise time 60 nanoseconds. And ×10, it's DC to 200 megahertz. You know, Philips ECG manufacturer. There's a couple other probes kind of buried in here. There's a little ×1 ×10 Heath Zenith. Here, there's I have no clue. It's got compensation. It might be a little higher bandwidth. The BNC is pretty beat up inside. The white plastic, I'm not sure if it's nylon or what, is cracked and pieces are missing. I assume it's just gotten really old with age. What is a Tek probe? Looking at it on the side here. There's a hat for one of these. It's got to be the Tektronix, looking at the size of it. That one actually says Philips down the side of it. That's it for the little bag. Let me set these pieces aside. As I recall, there's a fairly large battery pack inside of here. I believe this snapped off. Yeah, I didn't break that. That was broken before. Or just meant to flex. Yeah, it's the same way on both sides. It's just meant to flex. Pouch is off. As I recall, the tilt and bail stand here needs to come off. I believe that was really just rotating this outer nut. It's been a long time since I took the other one apart. And do the same on the other side. I believe there's a large battery pack back in on this side. Again, if I'm remembering what I saw on the other one, I'm pretty sure I did a video on it. I haven't reviewed that video. I expect very similar construction. And that releases the bail. These pieces are just pressure fit. Got a little container here to hold the pieces. And now it's really a matter of figuring out how to open it up, which I really don't remember. wires in from the front. Well, isn't this exciting? Nope. Recall these coming off. It's pretty solidly on there. Oh. Well, there it is. Just a little bit of pressure. And the case just slid right off. So what holds it in the case? That's quite interesting if that just slid loose. Very similar to the construction I remember in the other one, if not almost identical. Transformer taps. Was the battery up under? Maybe there's no battery in this one. That could be. I swear the other one had a battery. I've had a couple of these open. Maybe it didn't. Let's get a little deeper into it. And just take a peek, see what we can see. I'm actually surprised that it just slid out the front like that. I believe this is just going to be transformer module, power supply module up under here. And I already see an issue. And I didn't do this. If you can see this down in here, this white lead is floating here and bent off to the side. Again, I'm very sure I didn't actually do that. But that alone would be enough with the missing power supply lead for it not to operate. Is it as loose on there as it feels? Yes, it is. That one's significantly tighter. Can I put a little more tension on that? Yes, that's better. That one's actually pretty loose as well. Just going to squeeze it down a bit. Just add a little bit of tension. It's possible that the person she got this from opened it up themselves and that wire was knocked loose, but I really don't think my moving that short distance was enough to cause that. In my mind, so I think this module is removable and replaceable with a battery pack. Maybe that's what we determined, and this would be the latch for holding it in, because you'd slide the battery pack in from the back. In this case, it just floats in here. I'm going to continue kind of the visual inspection. Wafer switch looks absolutely fine. The little potentiometers here feel fine. You can see the veneer mechanism all the way back through. This is of course another wafer switch, or no, it's a pot. That looks fine. Both of those are just kind of flow. Oh, that's because they are. That's a beautiful mechanism. Couple of gang pots there, and then there's a switch. That's really kind of cool. I hadn't noticed that before. Hopefully this is showing up on camera. There's a slide switch here to the side, and the shaft from the switch goes into this U-shaped piece of material here, and when I pop the switch in, pull the knob in and out, it moves the switch back and forth. That is really quite ingenious. Really kind of a pretty little mechanism. Where's power switch? That switch looks fine. Another wafer switch, which looks fine. The knob's loose on the little assembly there. Let's put a little bit of tension on that set screw just so it doesn't get dropped off and lost. That didn't really help. It is pretty sure the knob. No, it's actually, well, that's not good. Is that threaded? Nope, it's just a pressure fit. Find some better glasses and see what we've got going on back there. There's a little clutch assembly here, not clutch, but there's a set screw down in that. Hopefully I can back out. Get that shaft back down in there. Can't find my good set of Allen wrenches. Back that out a bit. Okay, the shaft is back in place. Some tension back on that. I can't find my good set of Allen wrenches. Oh, that screw was backed way out, that set screw. Okay, it's definitely captured the shaft. I was afraid I was going to turn the set screw all the way around and drop it inside of the little assembly there, but I didn't. Let's go ahead and put the screws back in here. Just because I've got stuff shifting around. Just have didn't really need to pull these screws out. But I did. There really is nothing beyond tension that latches that in place. Just a little bit of tension there. Nothing really for it to click onto. I don't believe there's not. This is really just put it back on the shaft, set the set screw. So that was a minor little repair. That feels completely normal. So we looked at that switch before. We actually looked at all these before. Make sure all these little transistors are actually in their sockets. Haven't been jarred loose through being dropped. And they really shouldn't. The metal case lays here, and that should keep them from coming loose, but I'm just going to take a peek at everyone anyhow. These are, of course, external adjustments. They've got the little sleeve around them so that the holes come through the case so you can't get the tool in at an angle and short something. We've got 4 transistors, most likely back here on heat sinks to the back of the case. Any one of these semiconductors could, of course, be bad and cause an issue. You know, mechanically and electrically, it does look good inside. Only obvious issue was that white lead, and I'll have to review the video to see if I actually knocked it off or not. I don't think I did. Let's go ahead and set it on the bench here. Swap glasses. Power is off. I feel a little safer applying power at this point. Magic smoke time. No indication of life at all. There's a little battery light on the front, but we don't have a battery in it. This could be as simple as a blown fuse that I haven't spotted. Be careful here. I'm going to tilt it up a bit here so I can see the front a little better. Yeah, absolutely nothing. Now, let's do a little bit of troubleshooting. Get the old voltmeter fired up here. And I will take a look across this electrolytic here just to see if there's any voltage there. This is a really gross test. Need to be very careful doing this so I don't do what I just did right there. Doggone it. 11.2 volts, so potentially not a blown fuse, at least as we're seeing power there. Don't know if that's correct power. Power switch off. It's slowly rolling off. So I've got charged electrolytics in there now. That's just fine and wonderful. Nothing here on these jacks I wouldn't have expected there to be. So let's see. Fuse inside. We're pretty sure the fuse is intact just based on the fact that it saw some power. I'm trying to decide now where the fuse might be. No, that's wedged down in there actually pretty well. I need to be a little careful here. Go ahead and pull these off. That looks like it might be soldered on there. That's really a shame if that's actually been soldered down on there. It's an ugly fix. Somebody would have done, or it was just really tight. I think that will fully release the power supply module. And as you saw, it did. Looks like the rating on this cap's 25 volts. Battery charger. Is there a battery in this thing someplace? Under that cam, maybe? There's a screw. Maybe that's the screw that held it together. Somebody's removed. That's got a nut underneath it. Wonderful. Really don't want to drop that nut down inside. You know, a sea of screwdrivers. No, that's got a nut up under it as well that I'll never get back on. I think that's the high voltage section in there, honestly. So I'm just going to retort that back up. See if I can get this nut in place. Using my finger to hold it in place. Get it centered. And hopefully get the screw back in. I think that's most likely the high voltage in there, so I'm going to leave that section alone. There's our little fuse. Oh, it was not really externally accessible. Hop over to ohms here. Just to be absolutely sure. The fact that we saw voltage tends to say Okay, and it is. It's actually pretty loose in that little fuse holder. Green, white, and black. They're labeled. Yeah, plug the power cord. And I'm going to attach the power cord. The unit's not plugged in. And I'm going to make a couple of just measurements here. See if one of these just looking to see if the earth ground actually comes through to the chassis someplace, and it doesn't seem to, which is interesting. It's interesting that the power switch is on the front of the unit. And it's got a red and black lead coming off of it. I'm trying to determine if the power supply module is always powered up, if it's plugged in, because it doesn't seem to be switching line voltage. And given that there's only 3 leads coming off this little power supply brick, to get this kind of in frame, I'm going to straighten that pin out. Given that there's really only 3 leads coming out, I'm guessing a neutral and a plus and minus rail perhaps from the supply brick. I don't know if I can power this brick up. Standalone. Again, I haven't looked at the service manual. The leads are very happily intermeshed or twisted together here. Well, hopefully I won't see smoke and fire here. Oh, come on. How do cords do this? Maybe you watching the video can see the magic of how that cord twisted around like that. Well, there's 2.1 volts there. It's interesting, I saw the maybe it's switched on and off somehow. I'll go ahead and look across that electrolytic again just because I can. Hopefully not blow something up. Damn it. So I've got the full 11 volts, 11.2 we saw before, so the power supply is live. Minus 2 volts in reference to there, and 12 millivolts. date code in here is 67. That wire there has been scraped up against something. I think the insulation's actually been somewhat ground off of it. Looking closely at it, or it's just solder. It's actually just a little solder on the it's just been touched with a soldering pencil. Now there's bare wire showing there, so that's not particularly good. That could have been the cause of the fault right there. Just do a little something to add a bit of insulation to that. Not that it's going to fix anything, it's not. Can't I find the screwdriver I'm looking for? You're really going to be stubborn, aren't you? Hold the corner of that. Work it on through there. Just also creates kind of a little flag. There's something going on with the lead there. For whoever else might come into here later on. Nothing obviously fried in the supply. I do see 200, 230 volt. There's where it's labeled 110, 115 volt. It's really, I just can't tell looking at the silk screen how it's jumpered. Well, the battery might be inside of this little... Yeah, I'm suddenly guessing the battery's inside of this right here. There's the transformer and the taps. I'll bet the battery's in that little box there. Black, white, and essentially says green. It's got no shrink tubing on it. It has been repaired by somebody at some point. Now we've taken no action that might have fixed this. Like I said, I have no illusions of, fuse was obvious there, I just didn't see it. I had no illusions of this just being an easy fix. DC. Leave myself enough length there to get in there and test. It just doesn't matter. Honestly, power off. Find some long BNC leads. And I'm going to throw some DC power at it just because I'm curious. I should have a longer red one here someplace. Sorry, I'm off camera. Well, that doesn't do me any good. That does. There's quite the collection of leads floating around here. And getting two that are the same length is proving much more difficult than it should be. Come on, guys. There you go. So, bring up the regular supply here. I expect this to make absolutely no difference. But one never knows. All of that, I still don't have the lead I wanted. Well, we will make do here. Get over here and bring the output voltage down to 0. The scope power is on. Enable the output on the power supply. It's drawn. I'm at 10 volts. I smelled something getting warm. And it's drawn absolutely no current. It's just stone dead cold. Yeah, my resolution's down to 10 milliamps and it's sitting at 0. It's not drawing any power at all. And assuming there's some kind of electronic switching for power supply. It actually does react to that switch being moved around. That's interesting. Again, it doesn't draw any current. As that switch slides down to the bottom, it appears to put a load temporarily on the power supply. Well, this is all rather disappointing, but completely expected. I'm really not going to tear this down any further. You know, my friend can make the decision if she wants to get somebody that repairs tech scopes to repair it or not. I'll try to get you some kind of close-up views here of the construction. You know, heavy gold plating on the PCBs, all the semiconductors are in sockets, all those transistors, except for these guys here along the back, which are heat sinked. They're not socketed. Or yes, they are. I take that back. I do believe there's little sockets there the leads go down into. Power supply module we've been playing with over here. Of There's the CRT down the center here, what I believe is the high voltage generation for the CRT enclosed in the box there. It's heavier than it looks. We've got these potentiometers back in here for contrast. Focus and intensity. I didn't actually play with intensity. My mind was all the way up. I'm assuming, oh, maybe the front end's in here. It's hard to say. Front end, maybe the front end. Yeah, just no hint that it's trying to do anything. I think this is the same state the other one is. There's probably a common failure mode in these power supplies, perhaps, or the voltage regulators that takes these out. Could be researched. I'm not going to research it. I guess with this rather boring short video, I will put this back together and end the video here. So if you made it this far, you're a trooper. If you cut out because it was not exciting and dynamic, I fully understand. Anyhow, we'll talk soon.